Well, good morning everybody. My name is Dr. JD Swanson and welcome to 15 Minutes of Thought. Today what I want to do is, this is one that's been requested actually quite a number of times by you all, is following out the sort of discussion I had about Yoko Geri Kekomi and Moashi Geri, which I'll link to them sort of in the top up here or here, wherever it goes, and move on to that with Yoko Geri Kekomi, so side thrust kick. So what I want to do is I want to sort of indicate that this is the way that I teach it, that helps my students sort of work out how to do the kick, at least with some semblance where they won't break themselves as they do it. So without further ado, let's get started. Hey, let's. Good. So what you want to do is let's warm up a little bit first. So the easiest warm up that I can think of is holding your leg out to the side and just bouncing. Just like so. Isn't that comfortable? Right? So you want to hold that out sort of so many times, 20, 30 times. Then bring the other leg out and just bounce. You don't need to go for gold here, but just building that. And building that little bit of strength around the hips will hold you in extremely good stead for developing the kick as we move. So, give it a warm up. Once your legs are nice and warm, you can move them, maybe do some just basic kicks, basic punch, basic blocks, come back. Excellent. So, once you've done that, what I want to do is I want to talk about the shape. So when you think of Kyage and Kekomi, the key thing about them is that the two kicks have different shapes. So Kyage has this pull up, the knee comes in like so, and the kick kind of swings. And if you notice from the Kyage in the discussion, it isn't from the leg doing this, it's actually from the opposite hip, pushing. So when you do the kick, it's this load and it's this expansion through here. It's not this kind of thing which sort of, debones a chicken. You don't want to do that. So Kyage was this nice sort of snapping action of the leg. This nice sort of snapping action of the leg. Feeling the hip simply swing. Oh, balance is off. It's early in the morning for me. So as you're here, feeling that nice snapping and expansion through this leg to give you the kick that you want. Does that make sense? And it's important to push the hip into the target, almost like you're hip checking somebody. So the point is Yoko Geri Kekomi gives you this nice sort of, this swingy rising action. Kekomi is very different. Kekomi is simply a lift, a push straight out, pull back and down. So it's almost like drawing sort of like a square or an L kind of turned over in the air. So you want to be able to accomplish that action. So the way that I think about it, the way that I set people up for the kick is rather than doing our classic sort of 4 count, I add another 2 counts. And the best way to practice this is use a tool. Again, until you get better at it, you don't need to go for gold with this. You want to work on the kick slowly. So for me, I grab hold of something that can hold my balance. Right? That takes some of the pressure out of the leg, some of the musculature out of it, so I can work on the form of the kick rather than holding my balance and doing all those other things. You need to do that too, but this helps to start with. So from here, the way that I do the kick is I'll sit, I load it to the front, that's count number 1. Count number 2, what I do is I drive off my rear foot, I turn and hold and bring my foot straight up like so, almost like Moashi Geri, but a little bit more scrunched in at the hip. From here, I simply pump my leg out, pull my leg back, reset, and place down. So it's a 6 count action. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Try it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just like that. So what you want to do is practice those 6 actions. We'll come back and talk about a couple of pieces within that are really important in a second. So just try just that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 just together just now. So give it a go. Excellent. So a couple of places that are important. Number 1, the weapon. The weapon that you're going to hit with the kick is going to be the blade edge of the foot, not the flat of the foot. Good, so you want to think about that, right? As you actually hit, you want to hit with the edge, the blade edge of the foot, But what you do is, because your hip is pushed a little bit further out, and we'll talk about why and how that is in a second, you actually end up hitting with the heel blade edge. So that would be not this whole edge like you do in Kyage here, but more Kekomi, which gives you this action. Thunk, thunk. You want to turn the foot over rather than having the flat of the heel, which is a fairly large surface area, by angling it to the side. Instead of being the whole area, it's this much smaller area. And it's right in line with the rest of the leg. So to do that, just walk up and down. On the blade edge of your foot, get used to holding your foot in that position. So as the kick goes down, hop, it holds. Hop, it holds. That's the feeling you want. So let's talk about how we actually get our heel exposed. So how you get your heel exposed is within these first couple of movements. So as we think through, when you think of Kyage, Kyage itself doesn't need to, it still hits with the full area of the instep, this sort of whole area here. It hits through the whole piece. With Kekomi, with it hitting just the end, what I need to do is I need to be able to turn my hip right over, whereas Kyage I don't need to. So if you look at Kyage from here, if I turn my hip into the technique and push, the bottom foot, the base foot does not move. It simply sits, and I turn my hip into the technique, like so, that little hip check. And when you look from the side, yeah, my hip comes in, but it's not turning over massively. It turns over a little bit, but not a great deal. When I do Kekomi, what I end up doing is I end up needing to sort of turn all the way over. Notice here, it's a lot more of my butt is exposed. I come in, there. This is the feeling. Now, in order for me to achieve that, I need to push off my rear leg. So what that does is when I do this, I'll load like so, I hold this tight, and then I simply push off my rear foot. What that's done is that's pushed my butt right into my target, and it allows me, when I straighten my leg out, to expose the heel first, if that makes sense. So as you do this, this is why we add in the second step, or the middle, those extra 2 counts, is here, feel the heel on the foot, push. Feel the heel on the foot, push. And what I want is ideally a straight line between my heel, my butt, and the heel on the ground to you. Okay? That's the feel I want. And it all needs to be sort of held nice and compact and tight. So what I want you to practice is itch, up, knee, up, like so. Just like that. And again, grab hold of a chair. If you feel a little bit more dangerous, you can be here on 1, then from here 2, then 3. The same feeling. So play with that action. Good. Once you've done that, the next piece is thinking about the drive of the leg. So the drive of the leg should be straight. And how you want to imagine it is that you're doing simply a straight squat with your feet on the ground. Bum, heels, drop. Bum, heels, lift. Just this action for the kick. So what you want to do is, as you do this, you would never do a squat, and I need to grab hold of something a little bit more solid. You would never do a squat like this. Right? Well, at least I hope you wouldn't. What you want is you want the action of the kick, and so therefore, what you want is you want the action of the kick to be just straight out and straight back. As you do the kick, it loads, it comes towards you, goes straight out and straight back. It simply pumps the same way that you would a squat. Boom, 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 boom. Giving it that characteristic shape of the L when you look at it from the side, and from here, the heel just comes up, it sets, it pumps towards you, pulls back, squeezes, and places down. You want it with that same action. The easiest way to do this, and I don't have partners, age of COVID, right? But the way to do this is simply have somebody hang on to you, stand against the wall, make this position, put somebody here so they're holding your leg like so, and from here, just work on just pumping the leg out and back, out and back. Make sure that you're not doing something like this, that's just wrong. Make sure knee nice and high, push out, extend back. What that will do is that little bit of weight on the end, and especially with a human holding it, will force the heel into a straight line, out and back, out and back. Again, you don't stand there and really resist. It's just to provide a little bit of weight so that the kicker understands the straightness of the leg as it pumps out and back. So you want to try and work on that a little bit. Give both those a go. 1, up, 2, extend, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now those are the important and simple points. Give that a go, then come back to me. Excellent. So the next stage to this is wondering exactly what part of the foot do I pivot on. I could either pivot on the heel or I could pivot on the ball of the foot. You want to pivot on the ball. Why? Because if you look, my center of mass, the knot of my belt, is right over this blue line and my target's over there. So if I'm here and I lift, by the simple act of pushing off the ball of my foot and pushing my heel into the target, moves my center of mass into the target. That means more of my 190-pound fatness gets to hit my target. That's number one. The second reason you want to rotate is that you want to rotate on the ball of the foot, or you want to rotate the leg and open the hip out, is that if you leave the leg simply here and try and turn over, it puts the hip is going this way, the knee is trying to turn this way, and that's just bad for your knees. Okay, I mean, it really is. Unless you have freakishly flexible knees, just turn your foot, okay? I like my legs, I want to train until I'm 80 or 90. Allow the foot on the floor to rotate into the target. The third one is that Kekomi is going to be touching the opponent for a split second longer. It's not going to be boom, it's going to be wham and then pull. It's still, it's not held out there like a Jean-Claude Van Damme thing, but it bounces back. So allow, as you make the kick, allow this push. What that does is that allows now the knee and the ankle joint to be able to take some of the force as it drives into the target. It allows it to expand, right? But it also allows, this is along the range of motion, to take the impact along the course of the way that your knee and ankle move. So allow that to actually take place. So it's like both feet sort of, as I do the kick, it's both feet go and expand together. Both feet expand together. So you want to allow that to happen, that nice pushing of the two. So that foot, I argue, just like with Kyage, where it's all in the base leg, with Kekomi, it's also all in the base leg as well. To both give you the push of the leg, to move your body center towards the target, to allow the hips and the knees the freedom of movement that they need to be able to execute the kick properly. Very good. So give that a go and try for that. Next thing, we'll put it down from our 6 counts into our 4 counts, which is more how you would do the kick in reality. Good. So what I do often is I'll break techniques down into constituent parts and then put them back together. Let's put this kick back together now that we've broken it down to 6 parts and we know what each part does. Just a reminder, we've got a load, preset, pump the leg, preset, place. When you do it as a 4 count, simply combine 2 and 3, right, and 4 and 5 together. So it becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, like any other kick. But we're combining the parts that we did in 2 and 3 together, so the rotation and the push of the leg, and then the pull back of the leg and the rotation down. So it becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, just like so. 1, 2, balance, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the feeling you want, is that nice, smooth action of lift, high and tight. Then, as this goes, push off this leg, combine the push off this leg with the extension of the other leg. 1, push, pull, place. This feeling, this expansion. And so then what you can do is you can start to tie it, boom, 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 start smoothing it out. Again, the kick's not held out and just holding. No, it's here and place, this feeling. But it has that definite push, pull, action. Give that a go, and I've got a couple of closing thoughts and then we'll finish it there. So you've given that a go, a couple of things that's really important, and this is a kick that if done wrong, you can really mess yourself up with. Two ways. Number one, unless you're one of the lucky people with the flexibility in this knee joint, which is not very many, turn the bottom foot. Allow this to open out, right? Allow that to happen. Number two is don't do the kick strong, hard and fast in the air. Every single kick that I've thrown today is controlled, placed. I don't throw the kick hard. And if you end up with an instructor who really drives that hard, it's just not good instructing, I'm sorry, right? Allow that connection, allow the kick, work on the form and the shape of the kick, right? And then when you're kicking something that's hard, right? A person, a pad, a punching bag, a heavy bag, right? Then kick it hard. The reason why you don't want to throw it out hard in the air is your leg weighs something. So every time you throw it, you're separating your knee joint, you're separating your hip joint. And that over time can just tear the joints apart. Okay, so don't do it. Well, you can do it. No one listens to me anyway. But have that little bit of sense. Here, push, pull, place. Push, pull, place. And always keep it under control until you're actually hitting something solid. Good, so let's just talk about it in terms of movement, in terms of the basic technique. There's two ways that you can actually load and run this kick. So of course it's normally done with the cross step. In Shotokan, of course, we step across, the load, lifting up, feeling, push in place. You know that sort of action. The other way that you can do it though also, and if you're a bigger person, it can be hard to create that twist in the body. So you can sacrifice that because you've got so much momentum moving in that direction. Just simply, instead of crossing in front, just step behind and preset that leg. Then throw the kick. So it's a very subtle piece, but if you're a larger person doing karate, then, and the rotation for you is difficult to control, and you find that it's hurting your joints, just make the step behind. For other people, of course, in front, load, execute, and place. If you're larger, feel, place behind, see how that's preset my hip. My foot's already placed. Now just load, run it through the action that you need. And you'll find that that will wear far less on your knees and hips. Hey, with that, have an awesome day, everybody. Hey, us. Thank you.